Your mic sounds good to me. Tweaker, you're a little quiet.
How about now?
Okay.
Better. Yeah, for sure. Okay.
All right, let's see if I went live here. Let's take a look. I think I did.
Let's go ahead and launch.
Yep, I went live.
There's a 30-second countdown. We can just bullshit for a minute, and then we'll get into the actual debate.
All good. I've already got us live, so on my end at least, Recording. I need to get this set up. Let me get this going, boys and girls. I need to get a. I think my OBS is slow.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Lower Mania. All right, so today it's going to be a 1v1 Emmet versus Base Tweaker. Guys, how y'all doing today?
What's up, brother? I'm doing good. About yourself?
Doing very well.
Hello.
Doing very well.
Yo, hello.
Definitely looking forward to this, guys. This is going to be the first 1v1 done on my channel, and you guys are both very formidable debaters. I would love to see how this turns out. So today's topic: no means no. Emmet, you're taking the affirmative, correct?
I will be, yes.
Tweaker, you're taking the negative, correct?
Yes.
Man, I can't wait for this one, bro. I cannot wait for this one. All right, so I'm going to give it about 10 more minutes, see if some more people want to show up. I might market it a little bit, get the stream out there. If you guys know anywhere we can post this to generate some traffic, it would be very, very appreciated. Just want to say, N-word, Corey Barton, thank you guys for showing up, man. Always good to see you. Always good to have you. Yeah, so... As for right now, what do you guys think of the? Yeah, N-word, exactly. Yeah. What do you guys think of the graphic in the back? You know what I mean? The Lower Mania, dude. That's Emmet. Emmet made that, bro. It looks great, doesn't it? I love it. I think it looks fantastic.
Let's see. Trying to get myself set up here too. Trying to get my hotkeys to work right now. If I'm being completely candid with you.
T-minus 9 minutes until the debate starts. So in the meantime, we're kind of just hanging out, waiting for some folks to get in. Any assistance in getting this debate out there and gathering some traction so we can hear these two legends of the tongue go at it.
Okay, that sounds very creepy. Legend of the tongue, bro. Let's go.
Whatever. I don't know. Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Oh, I think Emmet looks pretty awesome, personally.
Yeah.
You know who he reminds me of? I'm just waiting for him to show me where the chocolate river is,
Brother.
Listen, kid. You can come ahead and try to say all your crap. Save it for that debate. I'm not even gonna go ahead all you tweaking all the time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start tweaking myself. So get in rhythm.
Oh my god. Oh, that is so good. I love it.
Lower Mania, man. Lower Mania.
Alright, so let me get the
This is ridiculous.
format together.
My man's over here with a fucking a rubber band around his head and a fucking scar. Oh man. And what is the Demeter? What is that? What is that?
The beginning of it. That's me. The Demetor's me.
Demetor,
The
yeah.
nations are my followers.
So nice that you
I'm here to kick
given
your ass.
giving him all the help, and I was over here for like 40 minutes trying to figure out how to use OBS on YouTube. Thanks.
Oh, rude, for sure. Yeah. You got me in Discord, don't you? Pretty sure. All right. Oops, sorry, buddy. I didn't mean to kick you.
All right, man.
You got a bowl full of food there, buddy, and a clean bowl too. I washed it for you as well. Eat your food.
Oh, let me like the stream. I
Alright.
forgot about that part.
So for the format, it's gonna be 5-minute openings on each side for both of y'all. Then the 10-minute cross-examination. That's coming directly. That's coming just from Base Tweaker to you, Emmett. Correct?
And yeah, and I highly doubt it's going to be 10 full minutes of an internal critique. I highly doubt it'll be that long.
That's okay.
Yeah, I highly doubt that he's gonna last that long. We're gonna count 2, 3 way before that.
Yeah. You can ask any woman I've ever been with. I don't usually last that long.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but then a 20-minute open discussion and then 5-minute closers on each side. Correct?
That's correct, sir.
Perfect.
That's the idea.
That's
I
the
like it. I
idea.
like it. Okay.
Oh man, you're silly. I'm digging the aesthetic. You should do all your debates like this.
This is special. This is
This is special. Man, that is good though. That is good. Let me get my phone out in 1 second. Make sure I'm all good.
So, Mr. McLauer, man.
Alright.
What happened?
Mr. McLauer, man.
Yeah.
What are your plans for
You want a
Raw on
fair
Monday?
fight?
Am I allowed to use chairs and tables?
Is Rude Crab giving you his tip?
Yes.
Was it just the
Would you
tip?
give
All right.
A no DQ match, yes.
A
All of the
no
policies are allowed in here.
Oh man. You're silly. I mean, at least it's entertaining. The chair fallacy?
Chair fallacy.
That's a good one, Rude. I mean, Corey, that's a good one.
All right, boys. 4 minutes. 4 minutes, and then we're going.
Yeah, it would seem that would be the case, wouldn't it? That's about all the time I need.
I don't even need that long. No, I'm kidding.
That'd be crazy.
Oh, Rude. Thank you, bro. Thank you.
What do you have you change?
Yeah, I just added a bit onto the. Yeah. Thank you, Corey. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I changed the title up, so we'll hopefully try and drag some more viewers into this one tonight. You know,
Maybe you'll be
see what
lucky.
happens, see what
Maybe you'll be
happens.
lucky.
Yeah. You're working. We got 3 minutes, boys, and then we're kicking this bad boy off.
So how are you? How is your name said there, Emmet? The Demeter.
Demetor.
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 Yeah, it's the Demetor.
Demetor.
Because we all know you all love to hate the Demetor.
There it is.
All right. I guess that's one way to say it.
That's the only way to say it, boy.
I guess I'll be the free-based tweaker.
All right.
Oh,
Stopwatch.
Yo, Jess. Yo, Corey.
All right.
You guys are stupid.
Jess, welcome. Jess, welcome. Thank you. Always good to see you all. Thank you very much. We're getting this kicked off here in T-minus 2 minutes. Okay. it going. Darth Matt, thank you for showing up, brother. Thank you. Always good to see y'all, man. Thank y'all for stopping in. It's gonna be a good night. It's gonna be a good night.
I've got my anxiety pen.
Thursday, Lower Mania. You know what I mean?
I've got my anxiety pen, so
Lower
I'll be
Mania.
okay.
Your anxiety pen. Yeah.
Still one of my favorite jokes right now.
All right, we got people. How about this? I'm gonna put a poll up in chat and see what's going on. Balls, welcome back. Welcome back. I'm gonna put a poll up in chat. Let's see where the sentiment on who's going to win.
Oh, everyone's gonna pick Emmet, of course.
Yo, Queerballs.
I love how he's making
Welcome to
himself the
Lower
heel, but
Mania.
I'm the heel.
I hope you all enjoy the blood.
You should have just made yourself the superstar, Emmet. That would have made more sense in the context of who we are.
All right, poll right now in chat. This is just to see who you think is going to win, and then we're going to run back another one at the end to see who actually wins. And boys, I think it's about that time.
Mr.
y'all
McLaurin, man,
think?
we all know who's gonna win. We know who's gonna retain the world debater title, okay? We all know that.
All right, gentlemen. Let's go ahead and kick it off. All right, so I want a clean, fair fight. No personal attacks. Stick to the semantics. Stick to the topic. I'll be here moderating. We're starting off with 2 5-minute opening sessions or opening statements. Are you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Ready.
Awesome. All right. Let's go ahead and I'm going to cut this music. We don't need that shit. Okay. So, Emmett, since you're taking the affirmative position, please, time starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, and the nations in the chat. I gotta say, Mr. McLaurin, man, this is a sorry ass intro for Lower Mania, but we're here, we're doing it. Now, you will be witness to some of the most brutal blood sports to ever happen on this world called the internet. As I go through my opponent's mind and drag him through the battlefield using my rhetoric jiu-jitsu, I want you all to remember that I shall have no mercy. As I go through my moves like the high flying kick, I'll give him my first part of the argument. No is a signifier that must maintain its identity throughout the phrase. Okay? Then I will punch him the combo. The identity of the signifier is sustained through the context and is known as meaning. Thus, no has to mean no for the phrase to be coherent. My opponent will try to wiggle his way out of my submission hold by saying that no could mean something else. The problem with that argument, besides not being that good at parable jiu-jitsu, obviously, is that it changes the question to what is the meaning of no, not if no means no. As he gasps for air, as he tries to bug us all down to what is the meaning of no, I'll answer right now. The meaning can be plastic. It's communication dependent and can even create noise, like the one he's making as I take him through the table. But no has still mean no in the phrase. Otherwise, any word can mean any word, even in context. As we will go through this match all the way to the end, where the final countdown to 3 happens in order to maintain my world debate championship. I want you all to ask yourself this. Count words in context just mean anything but that word. Don't we all, when lefties use the word concept fallacies, say no to fallacies, the Mayshans. No to fallacies. With that, bring it on, chat. Let's go, Lower Mania!
You made it really hard to follow your points.
All right. All right.
I'm trying to
I can
sift through what you're.
clarify them for you if
It,
you want to.
all I got was that you needed to. It's a signifier to identify as its meaning. That's all I actually got from that entire thing. I was trying to follow it, man. It was entertaining. I'll give you that.
Right,
Okay,
I'll
I
say
think.
it again. I'll say it again. I'll punch you again. Okay, so you get it this time.
Okay,
Be sure to get it.
I will.
Okay. One, no, it's a signifier that must maintain its
Yeah.
identity throughout the phrase.
Yeah.
Two, the identity of the signifier is sustained throughout the context, and that is known as meaning. Thus, no has to mean no for the phrase to be coherent. That's
Got it.
the idea.
Okay. I took those as a kind of one lump sum point. I didn't realize those were two individualistic points. My bad. Alrighty.
Base tweaker, you got 5 minutes. You ready for your opening statement?
Sure.
Okay. Time starts now.
We're here to respond to a pretty simple prompt. No means no. Refuting the statement is simple, and it's inherently circular logic. What I mean by that is it's known as a tautology. Basically, a statement that constantly it confirms itself. So the word defines itself in a statement. It's a fallacy within itself. And as my opponent has stated, we hate fallacies here. So in all actuality, we have to go ahead and define what meaning is. You could say no versus no, and then try to define and identify what they mean in this context. But the easiest way to kind of demonstrate this is a commonly used question that we use to ask from the right to the left. What is a woman? They always say a woman is a woman, or a woman is anyone who identifies as a woman. It's circular logic. You'll never accept that as an answer. That's not something you should accept here either, with no means no. It's circular. So my opponent wants to say that you have to identify it in context. Well, I mean, that context is half of my argument. Because in order to actually define what no means in this context, you have to actually contextualize that argument. Simply put, all words have meaning, whether it's meaning, but I wouldn't say that meaning is defined by the word definition. Definition is something that we use as people to identify what we feel the meaning is. Everyone has their own subjective definition, so that would mean everyone would have their own subjective meaning. If you want things to have objective meaning, then they have to have meaning within the context. So saying no means no, you could also still say no means yes, and it still makes sense the same way. It's at least coherent and straightforward and not circular. One of the most important ideas in language such as this would be pragmatics, because the words that we use in context, tone, and intent to convey how a word is shaped. So without that said context, there is no real way to define no as no in this context. You take this phrase as no means no, and you get something prescriptive rather than something descriptive. So this is essentially an assertion that basically no does mean no, but you're not actually describing it for somebody in a descriptive way. If you taught someone that was new to this country how to speak the language, or a child how to speak the language, would you say no means no? No, you'd explain the context of why no means no. It would be a much more lengthy process than just no means no. So inherently, I would argue that by these premises alone, I've already demonstrated more so than you that the context actually matters more than what the context is here. I can go through different examples of where no means yes, but I mean, obviously we already know that, it's a word that's a lot like the F word. You can use it as a noun, a preposition, all these different contexts, but at the end of the day, I have to say that no does not mean no. And I conclude my time.
Okay. So, we will follow up the opening statements with a 10-minute cross-examination. That's going to be coming from Base Tweaker, going to Demetor.
Alrighty.
Bring it on.
Time starts now.
Okay, so as I stated in my opening statement, you talk about context, and that is very important. What is the context of no meaning no here? What are you trying to signify?
The idea of the signal is that no has to maintain its identity throughout the phrase for it to have any kind of meaning. Otherwise, no doesn't have an identity, and logically it can be anything.
Okay, so it can be anything, is what you're basically saying. Because that's what I'm saying. In order to actually determine what no means in this context, you have to give it context. No means no doesn't have enough context. It's circular. It defines itself. So that's my question. What's its identity here other than to define itself circularly?
Well, I can predict that would entail to ask the question, what is the meaning of no? But that's a completely different debate.
That's not what I asked you. You said that it has to identify the signal to actually determine its meaning, and you're determining its
Yeah.
meaning by saying no means no. So that's what I'm asking you. What's the context?
The context is no means no.
So as I said before, if you were teaching someone what no means, this is how you would teach them? Is this the
Especially immigrants, I would be like, no, get the fuck out. No means no.
so you that's how so you wouldn't give any more context to what the actual definition of no means? Even by your
I
own
would go.
logic.
I would have to go ahead and define no, but that would be a completely different debate because we're talking about the meaning in
No,
the
of course.
context. In the context of the semantic argument, no, through the identity of no, has
Yes.
to mean no. Otherwise, it is completely illogical. That loses all meaning. Like all language
No,
words
no,
have
because
to that
again,
meaning.
it is prescriptive. It is prescriptive in this sense, and it's meant to be descriptive. It can't be
That is
prescriptive and
just
circular. It's not logical. That's what I'm trying to say. So, in
no.
order for this
This
to
is not a
actually exist,
definition.
no, I'm saying
We're
meaning.
not
Yeah, I'm
defining.
saying
We're not
meaning.
defining no.
Yeah, and
Okay.
that's not what I'm talking about. When you're talking about it being circular, meaning is circular. It's the same thing whether you say definition of the word or meaning. We could change that word in the middle to be either or, and it's still a circular answer. So my question
Okay.
to you is the only way
I
is
need
to
to ask a
mean it to
clarifying
be
question.
something other than no.
I need to ask a clarifying question.
Sure, sure.
What is definition?
I would argue it depends on the way you see. That's why you said we're not arguing definitions. I didn't even think we were going to argue that. That was the whole premise behind me saying I'm arguing meaning as well. So the difference between meaning and definition is definition would be something that you would come up with on your own, or you would appeal to a higher authority essentially for that definition. So what the object does or is, not necessarily what it means. So like you can have the meaning of something be far greater than what its definition is.
Uh, yeah, I didn't get it. Can you make it dumber for me? I'm a wrestler, not a PhD.
Can you
Okay.
repeat the question?
Yes. What is a definition?
Something used to
Definition.
describe something, usually by someone's own belief or by a higher authority, like a dictionary. Like you appeal to like the dictionary, for instance.
Okay. This phrase no means no. It's not a definition. It's
I know.
just a description.
Hmm.
It's describing that no means no. If you wanna go to what is the meaning of no and get in the definition, then we would go ahead and I don't know, do whatever the hell you said it was, because I don't remember it.
Okay, it's just like I've described here, what we're doing is going in circles. I've not asked for a definition of no. I'm saying that the meaning of no, if it is no, it is a circle. So no
You can
wouldn't mean
say a
no.
woman. You
So
can say woman means woman, and you can have a woman and say woman.
no, because that's when you say what is a woman, you're asking what is the meaning of woman. You're not asking for a
But I'm not.
definition.
Yes. No. No. You're
Yes.
asking for a
No, you're
definition.
asking for what is the meaning of woman because it has
No.
meaning. Yes.
No. You're actually saying, hey,
What's
can
the
you define
definition?
woman?
What's the
What's the whole point
definition
of
of
it?
meaning?
The definition of meaning, I would say, is it's the context of the word, and it tells you in context what the word is trying to say. Because we have words, for example, bend, or for example, bow, that can mean different things, but it's
So
the same word.
so if I
So you need
say
to have the context.
no way, that means no in that context?
Yes,
No, it
no
doesn't.
would mean
No way
no
would
would
be an
mean no.
exclamatory of surprise. It wouldn't actually definitionally or meaning wise mean no in either
I
sense of the word.
agree.
So then
No
again,
in
no
no
does not
way
mean
means
no.
no. The no in no way still has to mean no. Otherwise, it can mean. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to define what no way is.
Okay, now we're going to the definitions. I thought we weren't defining words. I thought we were talking about meaning.
We cannot go ahead and define it. Means that no can mean anything. That's the problem.
That
with what
it
we're talking
can
about.
mean it can mean a lot of things. It can't mean anything, but it
I
can mean a lot
agree,
of
but in
things.
the phrase, it has to mean no, or whatever the context is.
That's the point. If you say that it needs to mean something, and then your argument is circular, it's a logical fallacy. You cannot do that. It has to mean something, and no does
If
not
a
mean.
woman, if a woman were to go ahead and say, "No, please," okay, and we all know what that means, but it still has to mean no in the phrase for us to understand it.
Does it?
Otherwise,
No, but it doesn't. That's the point.
otherwise, I can take it as meaning go in the car and go back to Mexico.
The,
You
the,
understand?
yes, because
That's what you told me.
no, but context and tone and sarcasm, all these things affect the exact meaning of anything. It wouldn't even necessarily affect. So that's what I'm trying to explain to you. The context here, no doesn't mean no because it can't mean itself. It can't tell you what it is. It can't tell you what it is.
The signifier has to maintain the identity so that it can mean anything. And the question becomes, what is the meaning?
What's the signifier?
No.
Okay, so to you, what is the signifier here?
No.
3-minute warning, boys. 3-minute.
So
warning.
you think that the signifier can mean the signifier?
The signifier
It can
maintain the identity.
Yeah,
of the
it doesn't have
signifier.
identity if it defines itself. That's illogical.
Oh, no, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Does the sun has an identity?
Not if you're talking about defining the sun by it being the sun, by saying the sun is the sun.
What would you say the sun is if it's not the sun?
You would describe what it is. You would explain what it is, whether physical or metaphysical. You have to give context. Otherwise, the sun is nothing.
In the metaphysical sense, the sun has to be the sun because he has to make
Language is used as a construct to convey something. There is no inherent definition of the word no, okay? The reason language is
I'm not talking about definition.
meaning is associated with definition. They run parallel. They're not identical, but they're parallel to each other. So they affect each other.
Like gender and woman. Okay, I
Yeah.
agree with that. Yeah.
So the signifier can't mean the signifier. It can't explain itself and define itself in the context. It has to have more context. Otherwise, logically, no would have to mean something other than no for this to make sense. Is what I'm explaining to you. For it to mean something, it can't just mean itself. That doesn't explain a thing. That's my confusion. I don't understand how the signifier gets to. I don't see how the signifier gets to define it.
We're not talking about the definition. We're talking about.
So you're right. Explain its meaning. Explain its meaning. I keep saying define when I mean explain its meaning. My fault. You're right. But
as I said, the problem with you saying that is that the question becomes, what is the meaning of no? And that is
it doesn't. It doesn't.
Debate.
What it becomes is no does not mean no. That's it. The only logical answer to this question is no, because you can't just define itself. It can be yes, it could mean maybe, it could mean anything other than no in this context, because that way you can follow it.
1 minute, boys. 1 minute.
You don't follow a circle.
No, you're changing this to what is the definition of no.
I didn't say no definition. This is the meaning.
Yeah,
I said the meaning.
Has to maintain the identity, so no has to mean no in the phrase. Otherwise, it can be car. I don't know where.
Yes, because when you say something and you say no way, for instance, as an exclamatory, there is no way that you're using that as no. Like no isn't actually the operator there. That's not the main.
As a phrase needs to have no as the signal.
It also needs to have way.
No.
It also needs to have way.
I know.
It has to have context. So in this, there's no context. You're just saying. You're asserting something that is prescriptive, not descriptive. That's the point. This is not meant to be a prescription. When you say no means no, you're prescribing that. No, because when you say no means no, you are inherently saying that you have to believe that no means no. Is what you're saying when you say yes to this.
Time on the cross-examination. That's time. Now, I'm honestly going into the open discussion between y'all.
I think we just did a lot of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think there's gonna be much difference, but we got 20 minutes on the clock here, boys. Let's fucking roll.
It's gonna be a long 20 minutes.
Keep it rolling. You already know, man.
I know.
We need some sort of conclusion today, boys.
Oh, that's gonna be very hard.
This is the age-old question of the patriarchy. Okay, we
Is
need
it?
to know
Great
this.
question.
Well, I mean, if you had it in a different context, absolutely. If we were arguing this contextually, then you'd be having the age-old debate.
Well, in your case, it can be anything because that
Absolutely.
identifier can mean
That's what.
absolutely anything, and there's no continuity. So if I say continuity, it can mean no.
20 minutes, boys. You ready? Three,
Whoa, I
two,
thought we
Given the
were.
one,
context.
go.
I'll let you begin since I started off last time.
Well, as I said, he was gonna do. He went on ahead and just changed it to what is the meaning of no and what is the definition of no when he couldn't wiggle out of his way of meaning, which he agreed are, the same thing pretty much, just like woman and female.
I never agreed to
So
that.
so I'm not entirely sure what he means by no means no. That no doesn't mean no. Like the signal has to be the same in the phrase. Otherwise, anything is anything, I guess.
Yeah, so that's why I tried to explain to you that the logical entailment of the argument "no" means no is a tautology. It can't exist. It's a circle. It is illogical in and of itself.
tautology.
Saying yes it is. Saying yes to this,
No.
yes it is. Okay, demonstrate how it's not. It is
One
itself
equals
because it is
one.
itself because it is itself.
Yeah. No equals 1 = 1.
That's
Is
that. No, you're
that
saying equal. Okay,
is
does
that
means
tautology?
no? Does means equal? Are those
In
the
this
same?
case, yes. It has
No.
to be.
Oh, it
Otherwise,
has to
it
be.
has
So
to
no,
be
no,
one no.
you're making an assertion where it doesn't have to. The word means has
Okay,
different
I can
in
go
different
ahead and
contexts.
demonstrate.
Just like no, the word means a lot of different things.
I can go ahead and demonstrate assertion in a phrase. You want me to do that?
I could do the same thing, but go ahead.
Okay, it's very simple. So let's say no way. I'm gonna use the same idea. Okay, no
Mhm.
way. Okay, no in the phrase no way has to mean no. Okay, it has to have the meaning of no. Otherwise, if I say no way, and then we understand that it means like this expressive way of saying, "Oh my God," right? It's the same thing. But if I say that and no doesn't mean no in that specific case, then no can mean car. And instead of saying
Okay.
the expression, "Oh my God," it will be car.
So
Car way.
by what you just did, oh and boy means the same thing as no and way put in the same exact context. They mean the same thing.
I agree.
So no,
But
so
that
what you're
doesn't
saying is
mean
you're
the
demonstrating
question
my
no.
point. You're demonstrating my point for me. No can literally be changed for any other word and you could make this work, but you cannot make this
When we're
work if you
talking
keep it no and no. It's a circle.
but in the phrase, it has to mean no in
It
context. That's the
doesn't. It
point.
doesn't because
Does
it means oh in the context. Oh boy.
no
It's the
because
same
the
thing.
meaning
It means the same thing because you're not taking the meaning of no.
because
In that sense you're trying to separate definition from meaning so far that you're trying to say it has
I
to
don't care
identify
about the meaning.
itself. I know you don't care about the meaning. That's the problem.
I
You
don't
just
care about
said.
the meaning because it's not. That's not the question of the debate.
No,
The
it is
debate
because
is
you're asserting that no means no, which inherently is circular logic. In order to entangle
no,
that, you actually have to
no.
define what no means. You're wrong. Actually, you
So the
have to define
question.
what it means. Otherwise, you don't have anything but a circular argument that doesn't actually
Well,
work.
let's go ahead and read the question of the debate.
No
So
means no.
no, yeah. So where does that say? What is the meaning of no?
It says it when you say yes to no means no, which is a circle. You cannot
No
argue a
way.
logical fallacy. That's what I'm trying to
It's not
explain
a
to you.
logical
It
fallacy. I'm
is.
just
It
saying that
is.
the
You have to
signifier of
inherently
no has
change
to
what
mean
no
no.
means in order to make. There's a reason why this exact phrase is so funny to me because it is inherently a circular argument that you have to find a way to weasel
It
out,
isn't a
and that's what
circular
you're
argument.
doing, which I think you're doing an okay job of because I can't quite pinpoint an exact way to demonstrate to you how you're wrong, other than to show you the different ways that you use the no to mean oh or to mean oh my.
What
You
you're
could literally
saying,
do anything in context to mean the same thing. The problem that you're not understanding is without tone, without context, language has no meaning. That is inherently true. So if you don't have those
language
things,
has
no
meaning.
doesn't mean no. No means something else.
Language has meaning, but I don't care what the meaning of language is. The point of here is that I'm gonna take the signifier, which is a or no, equals a, that is no.
Yeah,
Okay? And
yeah.
it means it's an equality in this case because it tells you that no has to mean no in the phrase. In the phrase, it has to mean no. And then the phrase can have different contexts and meanings and all of your things, like when you're Well, like when they've told you, no, that is a different thing.
No, because see,
I'm talking about it's about the signifier. We're talking about semantics and semiotics.
okay, there is nowhere in here that you're required to
No.
look at a signifier or even really get that much into the semantics when you actually look at the argument itself. No means no. As a question, legitimately is a fallacy. You cannot say no means no and it be true because it is circular. Nothing else stems from it. It defines itself and it ends itself. But that's not true because if that were to be true, in all contexts, no would mean no. And I've demonstrated for you that if you say, oh boy, and no way, it's the same thing. So no and oh would equal each other. You would have A equals C now. So that's what I'm saying. You have.
Listen, okay, listen, okay. I have to do my finisher now because
Oh
I'm
my
going
God.
nowhere and you're not understanding the
Oh, I'm
video, okay?
understanding.
So when you say A in the when you go ahead and say A equals A in in the law of identity.
Yes.
That makes sense, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And if you say not A equals A, that would be a complete contradiction, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so what you're doing is a complete contradiction, right?
No,
When you
because
say
you're talking about
not
identity.
equals-
You're talking about
when you say
identity,
no,
and this is no
yeah,
means no. It doesn't say no identifies as
identity of
no. No, 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 no. It doesn't say no identifies. Meaning and identity are different.
Yeah. No, the
Yes.
identity of no in the phrase has to be maintained.
No.
It can mean it can have any identity.
That's the whole
whatsoever.
point. That's the point. We're arguing. Now, see, I'm going to go right back to what you're saying. No, what you're saying is you're trying to say no identifies as no. You're changing the prompt.
You are changing the
I
prompt.
haven't changed it. No means no, which has to be no. You have to answer
No.
that no.
The identifier and the signal of no has to be no in the phrase. Otherwise, it can be anything. And you're like, no, but meaning is plastic. We know it's plastic.
No,
and
because it
not
is
meaning.
everything
Because
by
different
by the
objects.
me- by the so when you're talking about the meaning of a word, the meaning of a word is subjective. So you can't say no means no objectively.
No, the meaning is plastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Subjective.
No, exactly. No, it's anything. It's plastic. It's subjective. It
The
doesn't
meaning is
matter.
plastic. No, it's not subjective.
No, it's
Plastic.
yeah, it's
It can
subjective. The
be
same
anything
thing.
according to the context, okay? But
There is no
you cannot go ahead-
context.
But if there is context, okay, in the phrase it's context. Okay? In this specific phrase, what we're saying is no. The identifier means no. That means that there's an equilibrium between the no.
No,
and the
because
other
what you're
no.
saying
That's
inherently would
thing.
mean, but no, but what you're saying would inherently mean, as I demonstrated, and I've tried to say this over and over, for you to say A equals A, and that's your reasoning for this, it would be no
Yes.
difference than if I took those two phrases side by side, and I said no and O, A and C were equal to each other. You could do that with everything. So by your logic,
no.
yes, by your logic, I could do the
listen.
same
You
exact
listen.
thing.
I know it's hard to grasp for air as you're in the mat and go through this jiu-jitsu. I know it's fucking hard for you, okay?
Oh, so hard. So
What
hard.
I'm saying is that we use signals, okay? And the signal
Yeah.
of no, which is a word, has to be no in the phrase. And in that phrase, that
How
meaning
is no in no
has
way
to
no,
be
but it's the
no.
same as
The
oh
meaning
boy?
has to be the same.
No, but you haven't explained to me how that's logically possible. If you're saying it has to inherently,
Yeah, it
then
is
no would
logically
have to be that
possible.
there is no logical way, and you can't actually use it as an
Wait.
exclamatory.
You're changing this completely. Now you're saying that it's logically impossible.
No. I said
You're
something
saying
different. I think you
demonstrate
mistook what I
that
said.
it is logically
No, I think you
impossible.
mistook what I just said. Let me
I
restate what I said. Let me restate what I said.
didn't-
No, you did, because what I'm saying is if you have no way and oh boy right beside each other, okay, and they're both exclamatories, you could take them to mean different things in the sense that no way could you possibly mean at some point there's no conceivable way that's possible, right? You could see that as
what
an
would be
answer.
the question you have to ask.
So no,
Yeah,
that's the
what
point.
means
But
no?
when you
What
say
means no?
oh
What is the
boy,
meaning of
when you
no?
say oh boy or no way, the context of the tone would be excitement, not that there's no conceivable way or that it's not actually possible. So again, they are inherently meaning the same exact thing. You're trying to say that the identity of it has to exist. No, you're trying to change the identity. I did prove it. No doesn't mean no, because if no means no, it's a circle. It can't define itself. It's a logical fallacy.
How is a circle when it's the negation of the thing? You're negating your own idea. You're like, no means no, and no, it's not no, and then you're like, oh, it's like circles.
Yeah, yeah. So no doesn't mean no is what I'm saying. No can literally mean anything.
No, the signifier has to mean no in the context of how you use it in the phrase. Otherwise, we don't even know what it means. It would have no reference.
It doesn't need a reference. It needs context.
No, the reference no. No, it's a reference.
It's not referencing. It's not referencing anything. It's referencing itself. That's what I'm trying to say to you.
No, it's a
Yes,
it's
yes.
referencing meaning in context in the phrase. That's why you put it in the phrase. Otherwise, you wouldn't put that. You would be like, because you wouldn't need words.
What does the word means mean then?
There you go. There you go. That's exactly what I say. What you do. What is
No, because you're over here. No, I said no. I said means. I said what does means mean? I'm not talking about no. You wanted to steer away from no, and I let you have that. So I'm asking you what means means.
Means is a signifier.
So they're all signifiers?
No. Means, okay, means points to the definition of the word, okay? But it can be plastic. It can change according to the phrase. But in the phrase, no has to mean no in context with the phrase that you're using. It has to. There's no ifs and buts about it.
No, because if you say no, it's still true. No doesn't mean no.
How is that true?
In context, just like you're making it in context.
No.
Yeah. This is, as I've demonstrated several times. This is inherently an illogical position.
Let's put it this way. Okay. This is not a spoon. This is not a spoon. Okay. Now go. No spoon.
You're identifying it. You're not saying its meaning. What's the meaning of that object? No, we're talking about meaning.
Go ahead.
No. We're talking about meaning. You're using an identifier or a definition. What about meaning?
I'm giving you a phrase, and you're gonna go ahead and tell me how in that phrase no doesn't mean no according to the phrase. So the signifier can be not the signifier according to you, right? So
No, I'm asking you. I'm not letting you move off of this fork that you've identified. You haven't told me the meaning of the fork.
I didn't even call it fork.
No, because you're trying to use it in something that's disanalogous to what I'm saying. Yeah, that's not what it means. You're identifying it. Again, you're trying to identify no, whereas you've tried to say, I can't ask you to define no. So I'm not letting you identify. Yeah, you are. You're not inherently saying that it means itself. That's circular. It can't mean itself. It has to mean something.
You a phrase so that you can tell me.
We have a phrase.
No in that phrase can mean anything that it's no according to the phrase.
I don't need to. I'm defending no means no. I'm against it. I'm saying that it doesn't mean itself.
There you go. There you go.
I've pointed this out a couple times.
You have to go back into the phrase that no has to be no because you can't do it.
Well, no, I've demonstrated several times where no doesn't mean no. I never said, hey, let's go ahead and say this. You're trying to demonstrate and make it seem like my position is that no can never mean no. I'm just saying no doesn't mean no. I didn't say that it. So you can't just cherry pick a certain phrase and say no can't mean no. No, again, with more context, you're trying to give me an example of something with more context that I can obviously say no means what it means. But in this context, that you can't.
To ask you how is it that you can have no as an identifier and be completely different in the phrasing context. And you couldn't do it.
No, I've asked you several times to explain to me how no can mean itself and define itself. How can a thing define what it is or what it means?
I don't want to do this. Oh, because things are what they are. That's the law of identity. So.
Oh no! The law of identity things are what they are. So a trans woman is a woman.
Yeah. The sun.
A trans woman's a woman, then, by your logic.
That would be attack on the law of identity because you are.
I'm not attacking law of identity. You're gonna assert their identity in this. I mean, that's what they see.
I can say this: a woman is a woman. What is the problem with a woman being a woman?
Well, a woman doesn't mean a woman.
I can say A is equal.
Yeah, of course. You could say is, that would be equal. So when you're trying to say no is A equals A, that would be no is no. That wouldn't be no means no.
No.
Yes.
Means no.
As a
I mean,
mathematical
the
expression,
phrase
that's
that we're
exactly
using
yes. No means no would
has
not
to
be
mean
A
no.
equals A. No means it would be no is no. You're talking about
It has
identity
to
again.
mean
You keep
no.
trying to
And
change the
then we can
debate and
talk
make it
about
about
what is the meaning of
identity. We're
no.
talking about the meaning of something.
It's identity because we're talking about the identity of
We're
something
not
that can't
talking
be
about
no.
identity. You're talking about identity.
No, you are not talking about identity.
Okay,
I'm
if you're
talking
semantically, I am
about
saying
my
it to refute
argument.
your
Boys,
argument.
5 minutes. We got 5 minutes left.
I think we go ahead and move
Then,
into closing
then,
statements.
no, then go ahead and tell me why my argument is wrong. You have my
I have
argument.
told
I'm
you
giving
it's
it to you.
circular. It's illogical. It can't exist.
No,
You
it's
have to
not.
argue. Yes, it is. No doesn't mean itself.
Repeat my
It can't.
argument and tell me where is the circularity of my argument.
No can't. No, your argument is to say yes that no means no. That's your argument. I'm refuting.
What's
I'm
your argument?
refuting. No,
Your
that's
argument
you.
is no can be yes. I'm five. I'm car and
Yeah,
awesome and
it can, and
wrong.
I've demonstrated that.
Ah, your mom. I mean,
You mean
the
no?
point I was
You mean
making.
no?
No, I was reminiscing. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh man, how the ashes taste.
Uh, in tacos, amazing. Love that.
Okay.
The point I was making, and I said it
I'm letting you
many,
make it.
many times. No has to have an identity, especially when it comes to the phrase. So no means no has to be part of that identity.
Yes, in
It
order
has
for it to
to.
have in order for it to have identity, it needs context, it needs tone, it needs something to
Yeah,
apply to it, and it has nothing here,
see,
so it's illogical, so it's a
ah,
no.
I love it when people agree with me.
Yeah, I've
They
disagreed with you and have
are on the
proven you wrong.
floor.
No doesn't mean
When
no,
they're on the
even by your
floor,
own standard.
grasping
It's
for
great.
air, lying there. And
I
they're
think,
like,
hey,
oh,
I
yes,
think,
I
I think
agree
what
with
you meant to say
you.
is it identifies as no. I didn't know that you had such left-leaning ideology. Maybe you really are a feminist.
I don't know. It
Oh,
doesn't
I
matter.
feel
I
bad for
love
you,
it.
Emmett,
No,
man. Come
I
on.
know. I knew the moment you took the debate that you were gonna go like, I don't know what is the meaning of this. What is the meaning of no? And it's like,
Well, I
oh
mean,
no,
the
I
entire
knew it.
debate is about the meaning
I
of no
knew it.
meaning no,
What is
so
the meaning of no?
I
You
could
don't
have took
know
it
what
in
is the meaning of no.
definitions. You didn't want to do that, so I didn't let you take it in identity. What's silly?
Definitions. It's
Yeah.
a semantic debate. We're talking about semantics. Like,
Yes. And then
no,
you wanted to go into
what is
identity.
the signals, the little about the words that matter. Like no has
You
to
know,
mean
I
no.
gotta say, man, I
Right?
gotta say, it's always fun to have a linguistics debate with someone with English as their second language.
What has to do with anything?
Semantics are on my side.
How are semantics on your side?
I'm trying to be mean, like you're being mean. I'm not
Yeah,
good at it. I'm not good at
you're
it.
failing at being
2.5
mean.
minutes.
Okay,
2.5
I know.
minutes.
I don't like. Oh, I don't like being mean to you.
that was the worst being mean I've ever seen in my entire life. Mr. McLower, man, you have to fire this guy.
Oh
You
my
can't fire
god.
this amazing Lower Mania show.
I don't want to be mean to
God.
you, Emmett.
I'm gonna go ahead and give him the respite and you just go to your closing statement. Stop being.
You guys want to yield 2 minutes?
Yeah, we'll yield it for the closing statements.
All right, all right, all right. So, since Base Tweaker was in the negative, you get first closing statement. Emmett, he's going to finish it off, correct? That's how we're doing this?
That's correct.
Awesome. Okay. Base Tweaker, you got 5 minutes for your closing statement. Time starts now.
The conclusion of my argument is going to be the phrase no means no. While it emotionally might resonate, it's semantically empty. It offers no definitional content, it ignores the context of anything, and relies on tautological reasoning in order to actually assert itself. Nobody, as a good debater, nobody as someone who's an avid reader, would disagree with the fact that you can't have something that signifies itself, identifies itself, and confirms its own meaning without offering any other context. My debate opponent over here has failed to demonstrate and showed a very circular, illogical position that I can't quite get around as he tries to wiggle and claim that the identifiers and the signifiers, it doesn't really matter because in the context of itself, it doesn't have any. So no wouldn't mean no. No could mean anything in this context. I mean, definitionally speaking, you could say that no defines itself as no. He consistently tried to point out that no is no, which would be the A equals A, but it doesn't equal A in all contexts. It can't equal A in all contexts, and it can't signify and identify itself. And I use my time.
All right, all right. Emmett, you ready?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
Time starts now.
Well, as I predicted, he was going to go bog down. He was going to go ahead in all of the fallacies. He was going to go ahead and try to say that there is this thing that is illogical. The problem is that he still hasn't contended with the argument. And the argument is very simple. No is a signifier, which means it has to have an identity in a phrase and it has to maintain the identity in the phrase. Otherwise, we are go completely bananas and we don't even know what anything means. We cannot maintain identity during the time we're using our signifiers. It means absolutely nothing. It can mean anything, you know? When I say no, it can mean base, lower class. I can't with this kid, man. I can't with this kid. So I would have to go ahead and do this the old-fashioned way. I would have to go
It's
ahead
not
and
a
take my title
signifier.
with me
It is
as I
not a
count
signifier,
two,
bro.
three, and I want Chad to count to three with me. Okay, as he's pinned down in the mat on the
It's so
floor.
fucking
He's
stupid.
trying to grasp for his supposed tautological argument that he couldn't even think correctly about. My point, as always, is going to be we cannot go against the law of identity. We cannot have identity of things, and this includes things that are not physical. That's why metaphysics are so important and semantics are so important. We still need to be able to understand and contain its identity so that we can define them. No means no has to be true so that when we ask what is the meaning of no, we can get to an actual meaning, especially when it comes to context. So, chat, if you're there with me, I'm I want you to all type one, two,
It's so stupid,
and
bro.
three.
So stupid, bro.
Lower mania, baby. Lower mania. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Mr. McAlower, man.
All right, boys.
Hey,
All right.
Dad.
Poll is in the chat, guys. Poll is in the chat. Let's see who won.
The greatest character of any debate I have ever seen, dude.
We-
Listen to the Hispanic Cookie Monster was the greatest time of my life. I
8
swear.
votes. Keep them coming in, guys. Keep them coming in. 9 votes. Okay, okay. Let's see where this goes. Keep those votes rolling in, guys. Poll is in the chat. Poll is in the chat.
How
I'm gonna
did
go
it feel to lose?
Oh, I
How does it
didn't.
feel to
I
be a complete
definitely didn't.
loser?
I definitely
Huh?
didn't lose.
It doesn't matter. Listen, okay.
Yes, sir.
Even if the
Okay.
chat is so off the racks and doesn't know what it means, no, I don't care. Okay, because they love to.
Oh,
hate
no
me.
means
I
yes.
still
No.
have my fatal
No is on the
flaw.
periodic table of elements, and it means something completely different than what you're just
Yeah, I
prescribing
know
no
you're
to
asking
mean.
what no means. Okay,
Oh, I'm not.
telling you
I'm
what no
telling
means.
you. I was telling you. I wasn't
Telling me?
asking you.
Why are you telling me?
Well, because
Don't
I
tell
was
me.
moving and I was
Tell
gonna
me
mute
like that.
myself while you
Tell me
had
like
fun.
that, boy. Ah,
All right, let's
my
see.
God.
Let's see what the poll says. And oh man, it was close.
Damn it, one.
9 votes. Come on, boys. There's 14 people watching right now. Get those votes in that poll. We gotta know.
And
who
9 of
won
them
this
hate me.
thing. We gotta know who won this thing. Big Soda, welcome to the party. Thank you very much, sir. Tagging in Big Soda. How you doing today, brother?
Oh, I'm doing good. How are y'all guys doing?
We are doing amazing. Enjoy Lower Mania.
I'm just shifting rooms real quick. I'll be on
There
just
we-
1 second.
I was gonna say it's a very interesting debate. I'm a little
Hey,
more
I'm sorry. I got a little
confused
too excited with that one. That's
leaving
my
the
fault,
debate and
Dad.
coming into the debate.
I'm not gonna be that loud anymore.
But I love the character.
Oh man, I can't see the screen, so I have to.
That character is crazy, dude.
I'm gonna be honest. If I were to say Emmett won the debate, it was based off character alone. Just not even focused on any part of the subject.
Yeah, no, it definitely was a great character. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll here. It was close, man. Very, very close. 55 to 45. Well, I guess 56 to 44. Base Tweaker takes it today, boys. Base Tweaker takes it.
What they don't know is that I still take the fucking title. It's mine.
You know, we could definitely get like a one of those gold title belts
And have that as part of the thing, man. That could be something fun.
If I would have
dude.
known that you were actually,
It's one of those times that it doesn't even matter what you guys think.
dude, if I would have known you were doing
Yeah,
something
doesn't
like that, I would have at
matter,
least
okay?
tried to
The
look like I had
heel
a costume.
I did say that I was gonna do it.
I just didn't. I didn't know.
Oh yeah, moving forward, we can definitely organize some stuff like to that degree. Anybody wants to jump in and join the panel discussion?
I'm gonna go ahead and change the title. Now we are in open panel mode. Anybody wants to jump in? Don't need to stay on this topic. Anybody wants to come in and argue something? You're more than welcome to.
Argue positions. That is.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a very interesting debate.
I knew it was going to be interesting. I knew it was going to be interesting.
The reason why I took it is because I thought about the argument and I didn't. I still don't think that you won the argument.
Well, I don't think you won the argument.
Yeah, I know that's fine, but you didn't contend with the logical idea that I had, and it's fine.
No, I did. I said that you tried to identify something by using signifiers that weren't in the context of the actual argument. That's the point. There was no your signifiers didn't create any kind of context like you claimed, and I kept saying that it
But
didn't.
I don't have to create context.
That's what you were
You're not
claiming.
You're still not getting it.
No, but that's what you kept saying, that the signify. No. No doesn't mean no. Again, it doesn't always mean no. That's the point. You're asserting that it always means itself, and it doesn't.
But I don't care about what is the meaning of no. That's a different debate. I told you. I don't care about the meaning of no. No, the semantic thing called no has to mean no for a phrase to be coherent.
Oh my
And then we
god.
can talk about what is the meaning of no. But it doesn't matter if it's it doesn't matter.
All right,
if
Corey,
it's
do you got
something-
anything, man? Somebody else has to talk now. I've been listening to the same person talk for an hour.
I'm gonna be honest. This is way out of my ballpark.
No, it's not. Corey, I've seen you debate, dude. You're pretty good.
Your debate's gonna be better. Okay.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have a more fun and interesting topic. Semantical debates are not usually that fun unless you enjoy semantics.
Yeah, I had to make it fun.
Yeah, no. You made it a ton of fun. Definitely didn't expect the character to be so like. I'm not gonna lie, it made it really, really hard for me to follow your opening. Like I was trying to, but like I couldn't like write it down because I started laughing and then I couldn't keep focused on what you were saying because the tone of your voice. It was definitely interesting.
Yeah, Emmet was playing chess with that one. No shit.
Yeah, no, he kept getting in my head with it because I was trying to I was distracted by his character, and then I had to keep remembering, it's like I'm debating somebody. This isn't like a scripted thing. So I don't know. I should have pulled more from what I had written down, and I kind of started just arguing with the same points with him over and over.
Yeah.
So I guess let me see if I can tackle this point. When the phrase "no" means no, does that mean when no doesn't mean no, does it still mean no?
No.
No.
'Cause I was thinking, I was like, well, what happens when my favorite city is New Orleans, and
Yeah.
I say, New Orleans means no. Does no mean New Orleans?
Right. I agree with you. Noise car.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. It could mean whatever in the context that it means. Yeah, it's the context that gives it meaning, not the word.
No.
Yes, the context gives it meaning. It doesn't give it. It doesn't. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to explain to you.
If a woman comes to me and starts screaming car, I guess I have to understand that it's no.
Okay, if someone comes up to you and doesn't speak the language and you keep yelling no at them, they have to know that you mean no.
Yeah.
No, they don't know that you
They
mean.
have
They don't
to.
know that no means no. That's the point. So
That's
no
what
doesn't
I
mean
thought.
no to them. That's what I'm explaining. No does not mean no.
except for myself, because as I said, no woman has ever said no to me, so I don't know.
I mean, you'd have to talk to
Especially in that
you'd have to
character.
talk to a woman for that.
In that character, no woman would say no.
Yeah, they'd be too afraid. I mean, I know I'd be afraid.
I'm glad
I-
they made you afraid.
Yeah. The mentally ill always scare me,
Mexican
man.
Cookie Monster, that's a cool one. I'm gonna change my name to that, by the way.
Why?
Because I like this.
Oh, but you'd have to do the voice for it to make sense.
No, they can go back into the stream.
I thought you meant like in general you were gonna change your name to that. I was like, well, you'd have to constantly
no,
play
no,
the
no, no.
character.
No, I'm gonna change it for stream deck right now.
That's what I thought it was funny because I had like 3 people ask me, "Is like, are you really like, are you rocking like? Is that all real or is that like something you're just doing?" I'm like, no, this is real.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. You
Getting
know
away
what? You're
from
right. You're right. It's
allegedly.
probably amphetamines.
It's a character he plays.
It's what I play on the weekends and sometimes during the week.
No, hey, come on, come
So
on.
lower
bro.
class, do you think no means no?
Well, I guess like I see. My thing is, I understood both of your points. I understood where both
They were
of you
good
were coming
points.
Yeah, I understood where both of you were coming from, and it really does come down to like a contextual kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right?
And the luchador had way more context and fun and pizzazz than I did with my boring ass explanation.
But I will say, simply when we're taking that term or that phrase, no means no. I gotta go with Emmet here, man. Like,
Hey, it's fine. No doesn't mean no because it can't define and explain its own meaning. It can't do that. You have to have context. So there's no
But-
context, so no doesn't mean no.
saying no is what people understand that word when you say it.
No, all
And they
people
have
don't.
colloquial
That's
understanding.
non-English speaking people don't.
Depends on which.
Yeah,
word.
of course you semantically say that. Okay, Mexico and like one other country. Yeah, but there's like the majority of the other countries that have other languages don't use no to signify no.
But they
Most of the
understand.
time they do
Mm-mm.
scream no.
Well,
Anyway.
here, let me rephrase it. Take the no out of it and put any other word in the English language. And is that true?
No, because it
Is that
can't. Yeah, it
statement-
can't explain its own. It can't explain its own meaning. Is the point?
This is why I lean a little more toward your side, Tweaker, is because I understand, like I understand what you're saying, and because it's kind of like
You said
if
what?
you replace, let's say cat means cat.
Yeah. Then the
y-
cat
y-
has no
you're
meaning.
you're getting nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like you can say that, but it's not true. So I can say woman means woman, but then woman has no meaning. Woman has nothing. It defines
no.
itself. Yes.
The word has to have an identity. That's the point I'm making. The word has
Yes,
to have
but-
an identity.
But it doesn't
That-
without context. Words like that do not gain identity
I
without
don't-
context.
Listen, I don't care what is the meaning of the word.
I didn't say
saying
meaning.
the
I'm
word-
contending with what you just said.
No, you're not.
Yes, you said it has to have an
Listen
identity, and I said it can't have an identity. I'm literally saying the identity can't exist without
Hey.
context.
Listen
A
to
cat
the
can be
argument.
something, but it can't mean something.
Exactly.
Like it's kind of like a cat is a cat. That's
Yes.
a true statement.
Cat
but a
is-
cat
yeah.
can't mean a cat.
Exactly.
because
It's not.
What does it mean to be
Yeah.
a cat?
hmm
What I'm saying is that this is why I made the argument this way. Cat, okay, the word has a meaning, and the word has to mean the word,
Mm-mm.
and the meaning can be plastic, and we can contend on what
no,
the
no.
meaning of the word is, but the word has
Cat
something
could mean
to
feline. Cat
identity.
would mean. There's a lot of things cat could mean. You're saying cat has to mean cat. That's not true. Cat could mean feline, but just baseline, not even using
could be a-
semantics.
Cat could be the name of a
So
cat.
again, you
Cat
didn't
has
contend with
cat.
my counter to
cat.
your, and this is why I know that people don't pay attention or they just don't like me. When I argued against your semantical argument, I explained to you in detail as to why you had to defend the position. You said that I never attacked it, but I
You still
did.
haven't-
No, I
you
did
still
just
haven't
now, and I
done it.
demonstrated for
You're
you that
still-
you
you're
can't
still
give it
going to what
meaning.
you would do. You were still going to what is the meaning of X, and I'm saying no.
No,
I don't care about.
I'm saying that when you say
I
no, cat
understand.
does not mean cat. Cat means feline. That's the point. I'm showing you and demonstrating you in other words, in other contexts, they don't mean themselves. They can't give themselves
What
meaning.
is the question that you're answering? You're answering the question, what is the meaning of cat?
No, I
You're not
said I'm
you're
giving
not
you an
able to
example by
answer
giving
that.
you a meaning of something, okay, and saying that I could show you the context where it doesn't mean in that
Yes,
phrase. That's the point. So where
I
no would
agree
it be
with
the
you.
answer?
It has
So
nothing
no
to
has
do
the
with
same
my
thing.
argument.
Yes, no is the same thing. It
I
does have
agree
because you're
with you.
talking about
No has
identifiers and
nothing to do with my
signifiers.
argument.
You can't use anything to signify something if there's no context for it to be signified.
Yes, you can.
No, you cannot.
Words are signifiers in and of itself, and they
You
have
can't say it
meaning.
signifies, identifies, and defines
Yes,
itself. That's what you're saying. That's what
I'm
you're
not
you
doing
are
that.
saying it. Yes, you are, because you're saying no is the identifier.
No,
No appears
that's what you're
twice.
doing.
Identifier,
That's your
identifier,
straw
and
man
identifies
argument.
itself. It's not. I
No,
steel manned it
I'm
so
not
hard.
doing that. Listen, I'm not doing that. That's why I gave you an argument. I gave you a full on two premise, one conclusion argument. Okay? And it has nothing to do with what you're saying.
No, it does.
What
That's the
I'm
point.
saying, no, it has nothing to do. I agree with you. That's absolutely true. The problem, what you're not contending with, is that the word itself is a signifier. That word has to mean in context the same in the phrase as the same word.
It can't signify and define and identify itself. That's what I'm explaining to you. It can't be
Cannot.
all encompassing in and of itself, and you can't say no means no.
I'm
It
not
that
saying
no,
that.
you are, because if you're saying yes to no means no, then inherently
Yes.
no has zero meaning ever. That's the point. You can't do
No.
that. It's
No
illogical.
has the meaning
It
that the
doesn't
context
have
is
anything
giving
because
it.
you're giving it no
No.
context.
No has the meaning that the context is giving it.
Language
The
has no
question
meaning
becomes
without context. Language
the
has no
question
meaning without context.
the the question becomes what is the meaning of no? And that is a
That's because you
completely
can't
different
contend
debate,
with
bro.
it. That's because you can't
Completely
contend.
different.
I've
All right.
taken you down the logical path and it gets to the same place every time. I wonder why.
Yeah,
It's not because I'm directing it there. It's because that's the way the
I
logic
agree.
goes.
let
Because
me let me
you're
let
twisting
me ask you a
logic
question.
correctly.
So you
And
have to
logic is
define the
both.
meaning of no if you even want a
I don't have
chance.
to.
No, you
Hey
do.
guys, hold on, real quick. Corey wanted to ask a question.
Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah.
So does that, if based off limits or Emmett's logic, would that mean that both no means no mean or no means no is yes true and no true at the same time? Because it just depends on, I guess, the person's interpretation of what the word no means.
Are you talking about
Um,
philosophically? Because there's no answer to this question. Both of our answers are correct to a point.
I would what I would say, Bigsoda, is that the question you're asking is the same question Base Trigger is asking, which is what is the meaning of no?
Well, no, no, no,
No,
no. I
no,
was
no.
saying,
He's
I was saying,
asking. Never mind. I got what he was
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
That's not what he was saying.
When you say no, when you say no means no, so they can you're saying no can mean yes and no can
Are you
mean
talking
no.
about our arguments, or are you talking about?
no, like what I'm saying is, if there's context behind the word no,
Mhm.
and so whoever's making the argument for either side, does that mean both of their arguments are true based on the
Yes.
context of what the word no means?
Yes. That's why I said both of our sides are true. That's why it's infuriating logic to try to argue with each other.
Because it's all just based on
It's
what you
semantics.
interpret the
That's the
word no
point.
means.
We're
That's
supposed
fair.
to convince
I'm just
other
trying to piece
people
it
of it.
together.
Yeah, logic is very hard, and then in that there's a reason why philosophy exists. If logic was always easily found always, then there would be no philosophy. That's my personal belief. I mean, he could think I'm
The,
wrong, but
no, the it's true. Like there's two reasons why philosophy exists. One
mhm.
is logic in and of itself is it makes perfect, but it makes sense. But logic is still grounded on whatever is your proposition. So the proposition has to be true
Yeah.
for the argument to be sound.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you can have valid arguments that are not sound. So
Mhm.
they make sense logically, but they're not sound, which ends up being absurd. That's the point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you need philosophy in order to grasp at those bases at the point in which you're making the grounding of the arguments. And when you go backwards for example, when you're doing a transcendental argument, you're trying to bring go to the basic point in which you're gonna try to ground what is
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
basis
yeah.
for everything, right?
Yeah, that
Okay.
makes sense. Yeah, that's why I
The
was saying. I don't
problem
never
with
go ahead.
yeah, the problem with semantic arguments is that they are quite literally, and this is true, they are fallacies in and of themselves because you cannot ground them. You can't.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You have to accept. You have that's why usually uh, when Andrew or anybody else would go ahead and ask for a definition, they accept the definition that is given,
Yep.
because you cannot go ahead and just tell them, no, this is wrong, 100%. Okay, you're dealing on a
Is it
you're
word concept?
dealing on social constructs quite literally,
Yeah, yeah.
and
So you give them a grounding so
there's
that you can actually
yeah,
pick at. You have to you have to have somewhere where you guys can both stand so you can argue. Yeah.
yeah, and what we're doing is we're literally arguing on the what is the definition of the thing. So I try to sidestep it a little bit and be more into the no is it would be like no by itself is a construct, and the construct has to mean the same thing as the construct, otherwise there's no way we can have any meaning when we use the construct. That
To
was
be
my
to be
argument.
fair, I was trying to steer away from the definition. I wasn't trying to make us define the
Yeah,
word no. I was trying to be good about that. I wasn't just trying to get I wasn't trying to just completely try to go against everything you said in a way that like where we would just fight about it. Because I mean, I was just trying to do, but again, no matter when you're arguing semantics like that, you're gonna get wrapped up in that, and that's the thing that I enjoy about semantical arguments. But I don't want to have them with people I don't like, because they are the most infuriating thing to have with someone that you don't like.
well,
Emmet,
the thing is that this my argument is normally not an argument that would be used in this kind of semantical arguments. Usually what they do is they strawman any position, and they start crying about it all the time.
Well, I like
And that's what
semantics.
you will normally see. That's what you will normally see in any kind of semantic argument.
Yeah,
And they will cry about having a semantical argument at the same time.
but I love
Why are
them.
we having a
Yeah,
semantic
yeah, yeah. I
argument?
love them so much. But that's the thing about it is I think that whenever I was like, because Ryan thought I was going to come out with like premises and all of this, but all I was doing was just taking his argument apart semantically. And I think he got confused at one point because he didn't expect me to just do that the whole time. And that's kind of what I enjoy about debating is trying to pick somebody apart. I'm trying to get better at having my own points and arguing some of my own points versus just trying to do so that with you, I wasn't necessarily just trying to attack your argument the whole time. I was trying to propose an argument on top of it and trying to see if I can go on the attack, but you wouldn't let me go on the attack. You kept drawing back, so I was just like, God dang it. But you know as well as I do, there's a lot of people that, under given that circumstance, they're going to retreat, and I'm going to go on the attack. And that was where I was kind of hoping that you would let me go, but you didn't, and I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, it was a fun debate, but yeah, it is like that. I don't know if you have any like if you have any thoughts about that, Big Soda.
Big Soda, I think he was talking to you.
no, I was just trying to think about how I want to phrase this. My bad. So Emmett, are you saying every time? I guess when you use the word no, it means the context in which you mean it.
When you use this is what I would say kind of was my idea is no is the construct of no has to mean what the construct of no means when you're using it on a phrase.
Okay.
So if
So
I
I think
say
I'm starting to grasp it. Like I think I'm starting to grasp kind of
yeah,
what you mean when you say no means no. You're saying each time you use the word no in the context that you're using it, it's gonna mean no,
no,
no, no.
And my argument was to nullify any argument he could mean, which means no can't mean no given the context, because it is in
yeah,
itself a fallacy. So if you look up tautology, I don't know if you know what that is, Big Soda, but
No.
it you should look it up so that you can understand exactly what I was trying to say. Because I knew there was a fallacy, and like again, I knew I had to like
there's
learn
no
how to say the word.
fallacy.
No, no, no. I knew I had to learn the. No, I'm talking about when you're arguing a specific debate prompt. A debate prompt is not allowed to really, like in this sense, it's not really allowed to exist. Like in a formal debate, most would never allow a topic like this because it's almost semantically impossible to argue, and that's like the point because that's the point I was making. So whenever you make a cyclical argument from one side's perspective, and so in your case it was the affirmative made that a cyclical argument. Mine got rid of the circle, so I was just arguing the logic of you had to pick no simply because yes was wrong. That was that's kind of like where my argument was, Soda. I wasn't even really trying to get completely in the weeds like and drag along. My argument was pretty simple. And then obviously you add the idea of like language doesn't have meaning without context or tone. Like it just doesn't. Like I could say no all day long and different tones and pitches and ways, and it would mean a bunch of different stuff. It wouldn't necessarily mean itself. I mean,
So I guess. Go ahead, bro. My bad.
no, you're good. I was done. I was done.
Yeah. So I guess the way I would approach it is just specifically looking at the people, how people in general interact with the word, right?
Sure.
And it's always utilized almost in the same way, which is like a refutation or a negative.
Sure.
Okay. Uh, to me, that's the only way to not make a circular argument for it, because generally, right, if someone says no to me, if I'm asking something, it's a negative. It's a refutation.
Sure, but negative doesn't mean no. No, negative and e does not equal no. Like that's the idea of the argument and why it's so hard to argue. Like you're right. Everything you're saying is right. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but when you're trying to argue like the point of like no meaning no, there's a lot of avenues that you can take it down, but you're always going to get drug up together. Like I don't think there's really like a definitive way to answer this, and that's why I say it's a very hard debate prompt. That's why I wanted it originally to have the meaning. I originally wanted it to be in the context of you guys know, and for it to be a very interesting, fun debate. But then I realized who I was going to be debating, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure we'll find a way to make that side of it fun too. So I didn't mind switching it over to just the purely semantics, because I like semantics, and that's what I'm going to argue anyway.
Yeah.
So
dude, this was I had a good time. This shit was funny as hell.
he made it funny, that's for sure.
Emmett did a great job, dude.
Yeah, Emmett, thanks, bro. That was actually that was crazy funny, bro. That was crazy funny.
So yeah, Abe just brought up the big beautiful bill passed this morning, bro.
Wait, it did?
Yeah, the House went in and they flipped some of the no's to yeses, and they got the rest of the Republicans to vote
More big
yes.
beautiful women. Let's go.
It's fucking crazy, dude. I was not expecting that. I mean, like they left that shit open all night. That vote was open all
Wait, was no
night.
more tax on overtime in that bill?
Yes,
Yep.
so no tax on tips as well.
No way. That
No
actually
tax on tips, no tax on
there
overtime.
is no way. He just made some DoorDashers day.
There's, I think
I
there's
was joking.
nothing that would apply to, I guess, us, but I know there's restrictions preventing people from just accepting tips as salary or like tips as income. So like you can't just accept tips. I think there's like a threshold limit.
Yeah,
Same thing with
donations aren't
tax on
tips, are they?
overtime.
Well, so I actually
No,
I
no,
read
they're
through
not.
I read through no tax on tips, and the way that works is it's only for certain occupations. So
Yeah.
it comes down to like beauty salon workers, servers, bartenders, things like that. What's up, Ashton? Welcome in, bro. Thanks for coming in, dude. Thanks
Ashton,
for
you
coming
missed
in.
the debate, man.
But yeah, it was goofy, man. It was fun.
You missed your chance to vote for me.
But so the way it works is if your income exceeds, I think it's like $80,000 a year directly from the employer and not from tips, you can't claim the tax credit. But there are going to be taxes on tips, but it's just at the end of the year you get a $25,000 tax deduction
Oh.
from your income,
Oh.
which is that's going to save people a lot of fucking money, dude.
Yeah.
Like having 25 grand, especially for servers, because like the average server makes probably 45 to 50K a year, right? Like they don't make that much, and to have half of your income non-taxable is going to change the game for people in the restaurant.
No. I know, of course it is. Yeah, I've been in the restaurant
It-
industry for a very long time. Like it's wild.
It's also gonna I guess it's targeted towards, it seems like what's the best way to say it, the bottom of the like server chain. So it's like waiters, waitresses, like uh I guess people who would get tips throughout their thing. So I do love that provision. The no tax on overtime's good
It's gonna be
too.
good for the
I
hotel
think
industry too.
The
yep, the
not tax
hotel industry.
overtime is is crazy. That's a
think
game
that
changer for a lot of
Oh,
guys.
it really
I
is.
think that
It
goes
really
up
is.
to a certain amount of hours, but I'm not entirely sure. Like on a yearly threshold, but I could be wrong. I think
Yeah.
it works the same way. It's like once you reach up to a certain amount of money that you made in a certain year, you can have that ability to write that certain amount off, and then once you cross that, that's when you start paying taxes on that.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm stoked because I was working a second job, and basically I'm gonna be able to write off like all of my, as a server, right? You don't make minimum wage like 7.25. Your minimum wage as a server is like 213 to like 250 something, depending on the state. So you're not making that much money directly from the employer themselves. Yeah, individuals can deduct up to 12. Oh wow, and an additional 12,500 for overtime pay. That's insane. Holy, 238 in PA. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It varies state to state, right? Here in Bama, it's 213, but you make it back in tips. Like that's your primary source of income. And the reason I'm a big proponent of the no tax on tips thing is because your tips are not guaranteed. Like it's not like freight where I can go out and I can get a new customer or grind and find some new business. When you're a server, you're in a building, and if no one comes in, that's it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, oh, see, yeah, yeah, Abe, see, fair. I'm not sure about like specific outlier states. I kind of was using a blanket statement. Yeah, you're right though.
Yeah, it's still a good amount, and it's still gonna help a lot of people, because
100%.
even 10,000 is a lot of money.
It
You know.
really is. Yeah. Like you
And
think.
what I'm hoping is that this will incentivize more people to get better jobs and do better. And at the end of the day, that's going to help the economy long term.
Paul Son, you're
Which
welcome in,
is
brother.
which
The
is my
balls.
second favorite debate to actually debate is economy.
The
I
economy.
will
Yeah.
I will say it does put us in a weird position though.
What do you mean?
Because so far we haven't really got the majority of the, I guess, government spending that we've been wanting. So it puts us in a position where we have to guarantee that we win in 2028 to continue the, I guess, consistency of cutting government spending.
What are the chances of us losing in 2028?
I think higher than we perceive.
Really?
Yeah,
And
I
it's
it's
think
not so
lower.
much of us losing, it's so much of more of a split between I guess the MAGA movement kind of lowering their base, and then I guess the the Democrats' ability to pander to a large portion of people who don't pay attention to politics.
I
now.
think I
Go
think
ahead.
the real problem is Musk is saying that he wants to create
Currency.
his own party now, and there's a bunch of stuff that can happen between then and now that can, you know, get
Yeah,
us back to big or
Um,
bad.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Root has it right. I would say what happens in 2028 is really going to be dependent on what happens in 2026. You know, so if 2026, if Republicans lose like the House or the Senate, they're boned in 2028 because I mean nothing's going to happen for 2 years.
I think
Everything Trump tries to do is going to be stymied. They're not going to let anything go
Yeah.
through. That's just party politics, man.
this is going to sound crazy, but you also kind of have to watch out for that occasional emergency event, kind of like I don't know if I could say the P word, the pandemic.
Yeah, pandemic's fine.
Yeah. Okay. And you kind of have to watch out for rare emergency events that hypes everybody up to spend a ton of money. So that's kind of really the only one of the major downfalls of the Trump administration is right after he signed those 2017 tax cuts, 2 years later we go and spend, I don't know, 3 point something trillion dollars, and you kind of have to watch out for these weird scenarios where people get incentivized and become feared to spend massive amounts of money.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
go ahead.
I don't think it was that bad to that people are gonna hit me, but I don't think that spending was as bad as the spending that came after when Biden was in office. Like the spending bill for Biden was the thing that actually destroyed pretty much
Well,
the
I
economy
agree.
for
I
the next
agree.
3 or 4.
The only counter is the problem that we face ourselves in is it's not just one spending or the other spending that's bad. It's not
Yeah,
we've
yeah,
accumulated a massive amount of, I guess, government debt to where now we're being or I can't call it a tax. We're being interest, I think, like $1 trillion a year. And if it keeps increasing without an ability to like counteract that and start paying off some of that debt, it's just going to keep snowballing and snowballing until, I think, like right now, I think I heard like $5 trillion is what we pay yearly for just the interest of the debt that we owe.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The debt is